This has to be the tightest neck hole in a medium-sized shirt ever created. If I pass out halfway through this video from asphyxiation, you know why. But what's going on, guys, and welcome back to another Buzzfeed test. Now, considering that I am still suffering from post-playlist live depression, and I kind of cheaped out and did a easier recipe on last week's video, this week I am back with another 2-recipe versus video. I believe this is the third of this series, and you guys really enjoy them, so I figured why not. Today, I'm going to be putting up the Cheddar Parmesan Cauliflower Bites up against the Buffalo Cauliflower Wings. Now, before all you go crying in the comments that Buzzfeed never did a buffalo cauliflower wing recipe, they did a buffalo cauliflower taco recipe, and it's close enough. I figured it would work better with the format of this video, so I'll take most of their recipe and combine it a little bit with Pop Sugar's recipe for these, and just see how it comes out. I feel like I wing stuff like this way too often on this show. But regardless, let's get right into the first recipe. So guys, the first recipe we are going to be trying out today is the Cheddar Parmesan Cauliflower Bites. And you're going to need some seasoned breadcrumbs, some flour, cheddar cheese, Parmesan cheese, olive oil, eggs, and of course, some cauliflower. The very first thing I'm going to start this recipe with is just shredding up a block of my cheddar cheese. You're going to want about a half cup of cheese all together, and this looks just about right. Now we can begin to tend to our cauliflower. Break your head of cauliflower up. You can do so however you like, but I'm going to copy the video and use a towel to break it apart. There really is no specific way to do this as long as you get small pieces that remain intact. You are then going to want to cut them down to size if they're too big, and then one by one remove most of the stem. And considering most of the plates I use for these videos are either dirty or in use at the moment, the preschool plate is going to have to make a special guest appearance. All the OGs of these videos out there should remember this plate. But once I got them all cut up, I threw them on over to the plate, grabbed a few glass bowls, and then in one threw in some flour. In a second one, I cracked a couple of eggs and whisked those together. And then in your third, throw in about a cup of breadcrumbs, a half cup of Parmesan cheese, and then a half cup of your shredded cheddar cheese. And just incorporate all those ingredients into one another. All that's left to do now is to just give each individual piece a nice coating in each bowl. Start with your flour, then move on to your egg, and finish it all off with your breadcrumbs. And as many times as I've done this process in the past, it is still just as tedious and still takes 20+ minutes to complete all of your pieces. But finally, 25 long minutes later, I filled up my entire tray just like so, drizzled a little bit of olive oil over the top, and we can pop these into a 425-degree oven for about 15 minutes. After that, I took them out, flipped them over, and threw them in for another 15 minutes, and finally, we have gotten here. I just threw them all out onto a plate along with a little cup of ranch dressing, and just added a little touch of some Parmesan cheese over top. Right off the bat, I can definitely say that these came out better than I expected them to, at least in appearance anyway. But we shall see if the taste lives up to the looks. It does. So the perks of this is that it's healthier, the texture is really nice, but my biggest complaint is that I taste really none of the cheddar or Parmesan. The only flavor I'm really getting from them at all is the Parmesan that I sprinkled on top afterwards. But as just for the batter, it's like kind of just like a crispy, tasteless coating. Overall, I am pretty happy with them though. If you're gonna make these, I recommend cutting the breadcrumbs and really loading it up with the cheddar and Parmesan cheeses. Other than that though, a really easy to make and different snack. They are gonna get a 7.3 out of 10. Alright guys, so the second recipe we're gonna try today is kind of a hybrid of a Buzzfeed recipe and a Pop Sugar recipe. But the ingredients that I'm going to be using are, of course, another bundle of cauliflower, some water, some salt, hot sauce, flour, some garlic powder, and butter. Just like the last recipe, you have to first tend to your cauliflower, except this time I'm going to take a Lance 210 approach and chop it like a fruit ninja. Of course, minus the catastrophic ending in his video. Also, I forgot to mention before, you're gonna want these pieces to be on the bigger side, or at least bigger than the pieces you cut for the last recipe, just because they'll go a little bit better with this one. But once you got your cauliflower all cut up, I threw those over to the side, and now we have to prepare our batter. In a big bowl, I threw in some flour, some water, some garlic powder, and salt. All these ingredients will be in the recipe linked down in the description. And I mixed that up until I got about a pancake batter consistency, at which point I threw all of my cauliflower pieces in there one by one, gave them a nice coating, and then popped them out onto another cookie sheet. They seem very runny. I don't know if it's supposed to be like that, but it is too late to turn back now. I threw those into a 450-degree oven for 7 minutes, flipped them all over, popped them in for another 7 minutes, and as you can see, while they were in the oven, I threw together my hot sauce mixture. About a cup of your favorite hot sauce, a couple tablespoons of melted butter. This one's really simple. And after 15 minutes of total cook time on the cauliflower, I took them out and threw them into that mix. Toss them all around until they each get a nice coating, and then one by one throw them back over onto your cookie sheet. You're then just going to have to finish them off in the oven for another 30 minutes or until they crisp up, and here we are. They did have a tendency to stick a little bit, not too bad though, and I hope these aren't overcooked considering they have a couple dark spots on the outside. Overall, I'd say they look pretty good though. So just a quick comparison with the last ones, I'm more excited for these guys because there's less coating and more just cauliflower. Even though we did toss them in that batter, it's definitely less than there was in the last recipe. What the hell? That is definitely not what I expected at all. First off, besides the very crispy brown corners, the middle is just mush. Also, there's just an overwhelmingly salty, stingy aftertaste. Is that how to describe it? I don't know. Maybe the sauce will cover it up a little bit. Nope. I'm sorry, I do not like these one bit. If any of you guys have tried this and liked it, let me know. But judging from these, I definitely would not recommend. Hope you guys enjoyed this week's versus test. If you did, smash a like down there on this one for me. If you couldn't already tell, by far the cheddar parmesan cauliflower bites just blew the buffalo ones right out of the water. So if you want to try one of these, I highly recommend that you do those. If you have more recipes that you want me to try that I have not tried yet, let me know right down in the comments or on one of my social medias. Other than that, have an absolutely awesome ending to your week, especially if you just started school this week, and hopefully I'll see you right back here on Sunday. Peace.